So I wanted to answer a question from YouTube. Somebody was talking about how finding themselves all alone suddenly in a social setting when somebody leaves their side. They say, I feel like all eyes are on me and I feel so incredibly awkward and self-conscious. Then I can't behave in a normal way. And they ask what to do about this. So we can answer this by thinking in terms of the social anxiety equation. So all the beliefs that trigger our threat system, that trigger our social anxiety. And we can look at multiple steps in that process. We could be asking, what's the fear? Like, why is being alone in that situation triggering anxiety? What flaw are you concerned will get revealed? We could be looking steps later, like there's something about being alone. Is there a concern that people are judging that people are harsh about that? If we know that, then we can look into, well, how likely is that? How dangerous is that? Maybe people are very accepting of someone being alone. However, what I did want to focus on was number 2 in the social anxiety equation, which is maybe people don't notice. So, I don't know if you ever heard of the spotlight effect. This is from Thomas Gilovich. But it was a series of studies that were showing that when we're in certain awkward social situations or in public, we feel like there's a spotlight shining on us and that everyone's looking at us. But he called it the spotlight effect because while we feel like we're in the spotlight, in fact, people aren't anywhere near as aware of us as we think they are. So this is really important to remember in these situations. Like, we feel like we're being observed. We feel like we're the center of attention. But there's a very good chance we're not. I talk about this a lot in my book. But there's a series of experiments that I do to test this out, to see how noticeable I really am. A lot of times doing awkward or embarrassing things. And then I have examples also from patients I've worked with, including one of like somebody who's yelling fire in a library. People don't notice. We have a finite amount of attention. So if we're focused on something, it's very hard to focus on something else. The question is, if you are sitting in a restaurant, someone gets up and leaves you alone, how noticeable are you? How much attention are you really going to be grabbing from the people around you? I like to think of it as, if people have a limited, finite amount of attention, then how interesting are you that they're going to divert away from their own thoughts, from their phone, from their conversations, to turn around and look at you? Sitting quietly alone, it's not very interesting. It's not very exciting. So there's a really good chance that we're not being noticed. So the reason this happens is when we're estimating how noticeable are we start off, because we can't actually visit other people's brains, we don't actually know what they're thinking, we start with how we feel, and then we sort of assume or project other people are having a similar experience. So if we are really noticeable to ourselves, we sort of assume that we're really noticeable to other people. Not as noticeable, but that's what we base it on. So they actually have had studies, I think this is Thomas Gilovich too, of giving people attention-grabbing clothes that they feel embarrassed about. And if they wait enough time, people stop feeling like they're particularly noticeable in those shirts. Nothing changed, they just got more used to it. So if us focusing on ourselves makes us feel that other people are watching us, and that triggers anxiety, then I think the solution to that is kind of clear, which is we need to stop processing ourselves. So if you find yourself suddenly alone in a social situation, and you'll find yourself literally self-conscious, which means processing yourself, then the answer is to stop processing yourself and instead take that flashlight of your attention and process other things around you. Maybe you start looking around, counting the number of people that are in the room. Try to see, who's the happiest person in here? Who looks really friendly? You can even count the colors, you can listen to the music. You can just take your attention off of yourself and process other things. If you do this, your anxiety comes down because self-processing ratchets up the anxiety. Or probably the most common and popular way of externalizing attention in the present day is get your phone out and process things on your phone, read things. If you want to know more about this stuff, get into it in more depth. It's one of the things that features heavily in one of the chapters of my book, which just came out. It's called Dating Without Fear, Overcome Social Anxiety and Connect. So if you're interested, you can go check it out. I have a link in the place below.